Hey y'all, Summer here with Summertime Tarot. So I'm just coming on here for something a little different today, okay? So, I wanted to talk about this Kirk Franklin situation, right? It's not something I usually do here, but I thought, I feel like I should say something. But no, for real, I wanted to talk about this for two reasons, okay? The first reason has to do with accountability within the spiritual and the religious communities, right? The second reason is because of toxic and unhealthy relationships between parents and children within the Black community, right? So when it comes to accountability, I feel like oftentimes it's like two extremes. Either people kind of let people off and they kind of like brush things off, or they kind of cancel them, and it's like almost like they shun them from society in some way. And although I don't think that Kirk Franklin should be shunned or judged or any of that, at the same time, I don't feel like this is something that should just kind of be swept away. And the main reason I feel like it is being swept away is because of my second reason for wanting to record this or to talk about this. And that's because I feel like in the Black community, right, we have all, let's not say all, a certain amount of us have kind of gotten comfortable with unhealthy and toxic relationships within our households. We've accepted them as normal, almost to the point where like we've accepted trauma as our everyday reality. And because of that, we excuse certain behaviors. We view them as okay, right? Which is why a lot of people can see what happened with Kirk Franklin and his son and be like, oh, that's nothing. Like, that's a regular Tuesday at my house, you know? Not to laugh it off, it's not funny, but hey man, and I feel like that's part of the problem here. It's a part of the problem that I feel should really be talked about, and this situation is a perfect place to start, right? Because this is just like a small like slither of the pie. I feel like this is something that kind of occurs in a lot of our households, in a lot of our homes. And I feel like it would be a great opportunity for Kirk Franklin to kind of stand up and be the voice of change, right? But a lot of people are using this situation as a time or as a place to kind of shun his son and like talk about, he deserved it because if he recorded a video of their private conversation, yada yada yada. But at the end of the day, I feel like the bigger question or the bigger issue is, why does his son feel like that's his only option at this point in time? Why does he feel like that's his only way of bringing light to the situation or changing the situation or having his experience validated or just sharing his truth, But also when it comes to, parent-child relationships in the Black community, I feel like a lot of us have experienced, abuse and just a lot of traumas early on in life. And it doesn't get talked about. And some of us do lash out. And, when we talk about mental health, when we talk about even spiritual health or spirituality, right? These are things that need to be talked about, that need to be addressed. And I find that, a lot of people are like, oh, who are we to judge? And he who is without sin cast the first stone. And I feel like people use those phrases to excuse behaviors that they know are wrong. And holding someone accountable isn't judging them. Holding someone accountable isn't casting a stone at them. It's actually what you're supposed to do within a community, be it spiritual, religious, or otherwise. You're supposed to want to improve your community, want to improve the folks within your community, and hold them accountable for their actions so that they can improve, so that they can grow, so that your community can grow and improve, rather than perpetuating and continuing traumatic and toxic and unhealthy patterns and cycles, But I don't know, man. It's like the whole thing is just kind of sad, because from my viewpoint, this is a young man who's probably experienced a great deal of like pain and hurt within his relationship between himself and his father. And a lot of people are kind of just either laughing it off or blaming him for what's going on. And the reality is, even though you may not like his tactics, there's a reason for it, And if we talk about Kirk Franklin, I ain't judging nobody, but like, this is a man who has been, a follower of the Christian faith for I don't know how long, And so if he reacted like that now, like imagine what his reactions may have been 10, 20, 30 years ago, right? Then you can kind of get a sliver of this young man's experience. And although, that's none of my business, at the end of the day, to some degree it is, because when it comes to leaders, when it comes to people that we hold in high esteem within our communities, their roles are different, right? We hold them to a different standard, and it's not just about what they do out in the public, right, that matters. It's also what they do within their home that affects their community, Because at the end of the day, Kirk Franklin, for some people, is seen as like a guide, is seen as kind of like a spiritual leader. And how he handles the situation will greatly affect their spiritual journey and their spiritual path, And although he may feel like he didn't, sign up for that, that's something that kind of comes with the role, whether you like it or not, right? But yeah, man, that's all I wanted to say. But I would also like to hear, other people's thoughts. But if you're trying to fight or whatever, take that somewhere else. All right, peace out, man.